The story begins with a young girl named Mabel, who was different from other kids. She truly cared about animals and believed they all deserved to live free. One day, she secretly packed every animal from her school into her backpack and tried to sneak out, but the backpack was too heavy and a school janitor spotted her. Mabel took off running, but before she could escape, her teacher stopped her. As the teacher grabbed her backpack, it burst open and all the animals scattered everywhere. Later, Mabel's mom was called to the school. While the adults talked, Mabel quietly stared at a turtle that had been placed back into its tiny tank. It looked just as unhappy as before. After school, her mom dropped her off at her grandma's house. Grandma found Mabel sitting in a tree and took her to a peaceful pond. She told Mabel, "Whenever you're upset, just come here and pay attention to nature." As Mabel looked around, she saw fish swimming, a beaver building a dam, deer wandering nearby, and birds singing in the trees. The peaceful view instantly calmed her down. From then on, Mabel and her grandma spent years taking care of the pond, planting trees, cleaning the area, and protecting its wildlife. It became Mabel's favorite place. Years later, the story jumps to the present. The pond had almost disappeared because a new highway was being built, and sadly, Mabel's grandma had passed away. One morning, Mabel rushed to the construction site, just as workers were about to blow up an old beaver dam. She stood in front of it, begging them to stop. Mayor Jerry showed up, and another argument broke out. Mabel begged him to protect the animal's home, but Jerry replied that if she wanted to stop the project, she'd have to collect 100 signatures from the town. After the police removed her, Mabel spent days going door to door, asking people to sign her petition, but almost everyone refused. Even an elderly man she helped couldn't sign because he hadn't actually heard what she said until he put on his hearing aid. Feeling defeated, Mabel visited Dr. Sam, hoping for another solution. Dr. Sam explained that the pond couldn't be saved the way it was, but if Mabel could somehow bring back a beaver, it might rebuild a dam, restore the water, and eventually bring the other animals back. That was all the motivation Mabel needed. She gathered some friends, set out fruit, played nature sounds, and waited all day, hoping to attract a beaver, but none ever came. As she waited, memories of spending peaceful summers at the pond with her grandma came flooding back. Sitting beside the water, Grandma would always comfort Mabel and remind her that nature had a way of healing everything. Mabel was still sitting beside the pond when she finally spotted a beaver. Excited, she watched it approach the fruit she had left out, but instead of eating it, the beaver simply walked away. Mabel immediately followed it. A few moments later, the beaver stopped near a road where a van pulled up. To Mabel's surprise, someone picked up the beaver and drove away. Without thinking twice, she chased the van all the way to a university. There, she witnessed something unbelievable. The beaver calmly climbed out of the van, pulled an ID card from its pocket, and unlocked the building's entrance. Completely stunned, Mabel secretly followed it inside. The beaver stepped onto a strange machine and suddenly passed out. A glowing light left its body and transferred into Dr. Sam, who woke up seconds later, saying she felt like she'd just returned from somewhere. Dr. Sam then told her assistant to secure all the research data, because it could be dangerous if it fell into the wrong hands. At that moment, Mabel grabbed the robotic beaver. Dr. Sam tried to stop her, but Mabel demanded the truth. Finally, Dr. Sam explained everything. For years, her team had been developing a project called Hoppers, a technology that allowed human consciousness to transfer into realistic robotic animals so scientists could study wildlife from the inside. Hearing this, Mabel became excited. She believed she could use the robotic beaver to find real beavers and save the pond. Dr. Sam refused, but Mabel ignored her. She placed the robotic beaver onto the machine, put on the headset herself, and seconds later, her mind was transferred into the beaver's body. Thrilled by her new form, Mabel ran wildly around the lab, accidentally destroying half the office before escaping into the forest. Dr. Sam kept calling her through a tiny communication device attached to the beaver's ear, but Mabel simply turned it off. Seeing the world through an animal's eyes was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She happily explored the forest while asking every animal she met if they had seen another beaver. Most ignored her, and some simply walked away. Eventually, a spider pointed her toward another pond. There she finally met a beaver named Loaf. Mabel explained everything and asked him to come help restore her pond. Loaf immediately refused and walked away. As Mabel followed him, a huge bear suddenly attacked. She jumped in to save Loaf, but instead of thanking her, the other animals accused her of breaking the forest's rules. They decided to bring her before King George. Realizing she was in trouble, Mabel turned her communicator back on. Dr. Sam tracked the signal and was shocked to discover an entire hidden animal community living near their own town. Soon, everyone arrived before King George. Every animal bowed respectfully as the king appeared wearing a tiny crown. To Mabel's surprise, King George started the meeting by making everyone stretch and dance together. When he noticed Mabel, Loaf explained that she had broken the forest's rules, but Mabel replied, "Isn't saving someone's life more important than following a rule?" Her answer impressed King George. He canceled his meetings and personally gave Mabel a tour of the forest. Along the way, he explained the 3 rules of their community. First, know your neighbors. Second, every living creature plays an important role in nature. And third, everyone belongs, no matter how big or small. Although Mabel admired their community, she still disagreed. She argued that humans were destroying animal homes faster than nature could recover. Later, she privately asked King George if a beaver could help rebuild the pond near her town, but King George immediately refused. "None of us will go there. Strange sounds come from that place, and they're the reason every animal abandoned it, each trying to imitate the strange sound that had been driving them away." But no one had ever figured out where it was coming from, so they decided to take Mabel there themselves. As soon as they arrived, every animal covered its ears in pain from the high-frequency noise. Strangely, Mabel couldn't hear anything at all. That's when she realized the sound was only affecting animals. She searched the area and soon spotted a fake tree, hiding powerful ultrasonic speakers. Mabel climbed up and smashed the device. Just then, Connor, one of Dr. Sam's assistants, arrived inside a robotic heron using hopper technology. He begged Mabel to return to the lab, but she ignored him. The moment the fake tree crashed to the ground, the painful sound disappeared. The animals cheered with excitement. To celebrate, they threw what they called a party, which, in their world, meant restoring nature. Everyone worked together to bring the pond back to life. Some planted flowers, others arranged rocks, while a few cleared the flowing water. Soon, the pond looked beautiful again, just like it had when Mabel was a child. Seeing it restored reminded her of her grandmother, filling her with both sadness and peace. King George then took Mabel into the water and taught her how to swim. As they talked, he shared his own story. His family had abandoned him long ago, believing he would never survive alone. But because the forest had no ruler at the time, the animals welcomed him, and he eventually became their king. Smiling, he said, "I always try to see the good in everything." Mabel shook her head. "Humans aren't like that. They destroy everything." King George laughed and even offered her the job of becoming his advisor. Before Mabel could explain that she wasn't actually a real beaver, a massive explosion echoed through the forest. Loaf rushed over with terrible news. The pond had been damaged again, and even more fake trees had been installed. Mabel immediately realized Mayor Jerry was responsible. She urged King George to gather every animal leader. This time, she accepted his offer to become his advisor. Soon, rulers from across the forest arrived. The Duck Queen, the Frog King, the Snake King, the Fish Queen, and even the Butterfly Queen with her young son. Mabel explained how humans were using loud machines and fake trees to force animals out of their homes. Her speech made nearly every ruler furious. They voted to declare war on humans. King George panicked. He warned everyone that innocent people would get hurt. Only then did Mabel realize her words had gone too far, but it was already too late. During the chaos, the Butterfly Queen was accidentally killed. Her death pushed the entire council into rage. Now everyone blamed both King George and Mabel, forcing them to run for their lives. Meanwhile, one of Dr. Sam's robotic animals was destroyed while trying to help them, and back at the lab, Mabel's real body was growing weaker by the minute. The Butterfly Queen's young son temporarily took charge of the council, asking everyone to wait while he entered his cocoon. Meanwhile, Mabel and King George found a safe hiding place. Feeling guilty, Mabel admitted she had made everything worse. King George reminded her that the forest, the humans, and both worlds were now in danger. Still, he refused to give up. Soon, Loaf, the bear, and the goofy lizard joined them. Together, they came up with a new plan. Instead of fighting humans, they would first save Mayor Jerry, then convince him to stop destroying the pond. If he agreed, the animal kingdom would have no reason to attack. Everyone agreed. Meanwhile, Mayor Jerry was heading to a public rally, completely unaware that Mabel, Loaf, and King George were secretly hiding inside his car. Outside his house, a group of crows quietly kept watch. Loaf carefully stole the mayor's phone, unlocked it using his face, and handed it to Mabel. She quickly typed a message. "Your life is in danger. If you want to stay alive, come to the pond and follow our instructions." Jerry reads the message and immediately panics, speeding away in his car. Meanwhile, inside the vehicle, King George, Loaf, and the other animals are completely fascinated by the phone's emojis, tapping and playing with them like little kids. But before long, he quickly opens the sunroof, trying to throw them out. Mabel barely manages to hold on, but King George, Loaf, and the lizard tumble onto the road. Luckily, their bear friend rushes in and catches them before they get hurt. Just then, Dr. Sam arrives with her robotic animal team, urging Mabel to come back to the lab. But suddenly, a flock of seagulls flies in from the coast, carrying a huge shark through the air. The shark immediately starts chasing Jerry. At this point, Jerry has absolutely no idea what's happening. While Dr. Sam keeps calling Mabel back, Mabel comes up with a clever idea. She takes one of Dr. Sam's earpieces and places it in Jerry's ear. Then she says, "Jerry, it's me, Mabel." For the very first time, Jerry can actually hear animals talking. Completely stunned, he loses control of the steering wheel. At the same moment, the shark lands on top of the car. Mabel grabs the wheel, trying to save them, but the car crashes off the bridge and plunges into the ravine below. The shark splashes safely back into the river. After the crash, Mabel quickly warns Jerry, "Stay quiet, or the sharks will come after you." Instead of screaming, Jerry hugs her in relief. "Okay, just tell me what I have to do to survive this." Mabel doesn't hesitate. "Give the pond back to the animals." But Jerry refuses again. She angrily reminds him that he illegally destroyed their habitat. Jerry smirks. "Can you actually prove it?" Furious, Mabel calls over a flock of crows. It looks like Jerry is finally about to give in, but before anything happens, Dr. Sam arrives and takes Mabel back to the lab. King George secretly follows them. Once Mabel is placed inside the hopper machine, her consciousness returns to her real body. King George tries waking up the robotic beaver, but it's completely shut down. Still confused, Mabel walks toward him. The moment King George sees her human body, he panics and runs away. Just then, a group of snakes suddenly appears and secretly leads everyone away. When Mabel wakes up again, she finds Jerry tied to a chair, wearing nothing but his underwear. He nervously whispers, "Please, keep your voice down." Dr. Sam arrives, carrying a frog and a snake on her shoulders. Before she can explain anything, the snake lunges toward her, forcing her to jump back. Then everyone's attention shifts to a giant cocoon. The butterfly queen's son emerges and walks straight toward the hopper machine. Moments later, his consciousness is transferred into Jerry's robotic body. Mabel stares in shock. "Dr. Sam, what have you done?" Dr. Sam explains that the Animal Council discovered hopper technology and decided to use it for themselves, just like humans had abused their own power. Now the young Insect King declares, "Humans lied to us, stole our homes, and now we'll crush them." He reveals his terrifying plan. If the ultrasonic speaker trees are activated at full power, they won't just hurt animals, they'll kill humans too. His target is Jerry's public rally. Mabel desperately tries to stop him, but he refuses to listen. Even King George leaves with him. Back in the lab, Mabel and Jerry are still tied up. Fighting back tears, Mabel admits that she only borrowed the beaver's body, but somehow, the beaver had become her friend. She remembers her grandmother's words and quietly tells Jerry, "We're all part of the same world. We have to learn to live together." Then she asks Jerry to use the hopper machine himself. Moments later, his consciousness is transferred into another robotic animal. After giving him an earpiece, Mabel says, "We have to talk to the Insect King." Jerry agrees, but warns her, "I'll try, but I'm still not stopping my bridge project." Mabel smiles, "Then I'll keep trying to stop you." Meanwhile, the Insect King, inside Jerry's robotic body, arrives at the rally. Standing on stage, he begins saying bizarre things. Then he suddenly asks the crowd, "Have any of you ever stepped on a bug?" Several people laugh and raise their hands. At that exact moment, he activates every speaker tree at full power. Mabel rushes onto the stage. "Don't do this. You were the one who taught me that we should understand each other before judging each other. That was the first rule of the pond." Nearby, Dr. Sam's team is still trapped inside a vehicle. Mabel apologizes to the Insect King for his mother's death. The Insect King pretends to consider her words, but then coldly replies, "I'm not falling for that." Meanwhile, Jerry, now inside the robotic beaver's body, reaches Dr. Sam's vehicle and frees her entire team. That's when Mabel signals everyone to begin Plan B. Together, they capture the Insect King and force him back in front of the hopper machine, sending his consciousness back into his butterfly body. The moment he transforms back, he rushes toward the hopper machine again, but King George steps in and orders his guards to stop him. At the same time, Mabel struggles with Jerry's robotic body, trying to grab his phone. During the fight, the phone flies through the air and lands high in a tree. The Insect King immediately races toward it. By now, the crowd has realized that the Jerry standing on stage isn't the real mayor. Just then, the real Jerry, still inside the robotic beaver, arrives to stop him. The two collide, sending Jerry crashing into a large rock. and his consciousness instantly returns to his real human body. Mabel chases after the insect king. Enraged, he shouts, "Now I'm not just wiping out humans, I'm wiping out every animal too." But before he can do anything, he slams into a tree, and his robotic body explodes. The explosion quickly sparks a wildfire across the forest. People and animals begin running in every direction. King George immediately rushes forward to help. Several animals try to stop him. "Don't go, it's too dangerous." But George simply replies, "If I don't help, then who will?" Just then, the insect king appears once more, still screaming threats. Finally fed up, the frog king swallows him whole. Meanwhile, as Mabel fights the flames, her grandmother's old jacket is burned. Already overwhelmed with emotion, she struggles to hold back her tears. King George rushes to help her, but suddenly, a huge tree crashes down, trapping them. Fortunately, the bear arrives just in time and pulls Mabel to safety. Elsewhere, Jerry organizes the townspeople, creating fire breaks to stop the flames from spreading. Then Mabel and King George come up with one final idea. If they release the water from the beaver's dam, they can flood the fire. King George immediately calls every beaver in the forest. Within moments, dozens of animals arrive and work together to break open the dam. At the same time, the humans continue battling the fire from the other side. Soon, every animal king and queen joins the effort with their own groups. For the first time ever, humans and animals stand side by side, fighting for the same goal. Then, a giant shark crashes into the dam, completely breaking it apart. A massive wave rushes through the forest and quickly extinguishes the wildfire. Both the town and the forest are finally saved. Later, Mabel and King George stand beside the restored pond. They watch as Jerry begins cleaning the area and rebuilding it into a safe home for wildlife. Seeing that makes Mabel smile. King George points toward the water, where several beavers have already returned and started building new homes. Mabel walks over to help Jerry and jokingly asks, "So, what about your bridge project?" Jerry smiles. "We'll see, because now we're finally working together." Time passes. Mabel graduates and rushes to meet Dr. Sam, who's preparing for another expedition. Dr. Sam invites her to join the team. "I've got plenty of new ideas, and I could use your help." Without hesitation, Mabel says yes. In the final scene, she returns to her grandmother's favorite pond. There, she finds King George. George grabs her phone and starts talking, using nothing but emojis. The two friends quietly sit together, looking out over the peaceful pond. Real change doesn't happen when we fight each other. It happens when we choose to work together.